All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? Thank you very much. Is everybody there? All right. Then we will begin this interaction this evening of your time with the entitlement. Your true self. Allow us to explain. From our perspective, each and every consciousness is an expression of God, of all that is. Therefore, by definition, each and every one of you are a gift that springs directly from infinite creation itself. Now understand that because you are different consciousness, different individuals, as you say, you each have your own particular nuance of the expression of that gift. You each have your own particular way to express who it is that you are. Now, interestingly enough, in this particular exploration of reality, what you label physical reality, there comes along the idea of many individuals forming a society. And then extrapolated from that is the idea that there are societal beliefs, societal expectations. Very often we have noticed the interesting tendency within these styles of society for individuals, rather than expressing most truly who they are, having a tendency to squelch a portion of themselves, if not the whole, shall we say, outer expression of who they are, due to this particular expectation of a societal overtone, a societal repercussion. Therefore, individuals very often, rather than being with integrity, a true expression of who they actually are, in effect, begin to act and express what they wish others to find acceptable. Therefore, allow us to share with you the advantage to beginning to be willing to express your true self without needing to impose upon yourself the pressure of how each and every individual will respond to who you are, and therefore catering the actual you to each of the individuals that you interact with in order to live up to their particular set of expectations. The idea that there are many different consciousnesses allows for many different opportunities for interaction, and therefore each consciousness is an opportunity for other consciousness interacting with them to grow, to expand. They can do so by either appreciating and adopting a particular viewpoint of another individual, or simply by hearing that viewpoint, deciding it is not them, and then proceeding, having the equation of their being added to by not only knowing what is you, but also what is not. There are two ways to define yourself. One way is to establish what it is that is your preference, and the other way is to see many examples of what is not, so that you can know both sides of the same coin. But this does not mean that you need squelch in your relationships, in your interactions, who you are. For an interesting thing occurs when you do. If you are speaking to a particular individual, and what you are communicating to them is what you feel they wish to hear, rather than who you are, all you are truly allowing to occur is for them to have an elaborate conversation with themselves. This does not, shall we say, allow as much of an overall opportunity for your individuality to provide a new way for that individual to grow. It simply reinforces their own sense of their own self without your, shall we say, true feedback, and therefore is less of a growth process than your willingness to reflect who you actually are. When you can understand that individuals will always have the choice to either accept or reject what you are saying and not take responsibility for their reaction, you can understand that by being your true self, who it is you truly desire to be, you are presenting anybody that you attract to interact with directly the greatest opportunity in that moment for growth, for another viewpoint, no matter what they choose to do with it. As we have shared, you are all gifts, and in the giving of the gift, there need not be, shall we say, an insistence that they must take the gift. A simple analogy is that very often when you provide gifts upon your planet, you also retain the receipt. The idea being that this gives individuals who may not wish to have that gift an option to perhaps replace it with a gift that they wish. And this idea can be extrapolated as an analogy to understand that when you present yourself as a gift, they don't have to take it. They can. But even if they do not, that is an opportunity for growth. For it allows them to have, shall we say, an opposing or an alternate viewpoint to bounce theirs off of. That may again simply reinforce their own viewpoint, but it may in effect also allow them inroads to another viewpoint or a particular nuance that will allow them to grow. You are all unique individuals, and you all always know deep down and in fact on the surface who you actually are. It is actually a bit of a conscious process to squelch who you are. But you always know what moves you. You always know your passion. And you always know what brings you joy. So therefore, if you will begin to validate what does actually move or excite you with integrity, then you will begin to be the truest expression consciously of who it is you chose to be in this life. For as we have shared, excitement is the physicalized vibration, the translation of which is your indication from your higher self, so to speak, that that particular thing is most representative of what it is you chose to be in this life. And your willingness to function through your excitement is your willingness to validate what moves you in your heart of hearts and therefore express your truest self. Being made, so to speak, in the image and likeness of all that is, you are multidimensional, infinite, and eternal. This means you have always existed, though you may perhaps be consistently changing the definition of who you are, but by definition you are eternal. You have always existed and always will. Though all the parameters around you may change entirely, you will always experience yourself within this life, from life to life, and so on, to be you. The definition again of who you are and who you are interacting with may seem to change, but your sense of individuality and your sense of self will always exist. Paradoxically, this is true for everyone. Therefore, as you expand and grow and things seem to integrate into you, everyone else also has the same notion. Therefore, it always seems to occur from the perspective of each individual. And that is because you are all equal expressions of all that is. Nothing will ever be lost. You will always, in that sense of, shall we say, your overall signature vibration, be you. Therefore, by being willing to get in touch with your true self and being willing to express that you not only provide most service to others, but by expressing who it is that you chose to be without hesitation, the universe supports that new version of you. The universe has always supported you and always will. When you are denying who it is that you are, the universe supports that. So there is nothing inherently built into the definition that would even suggest mildly that when you take responsibility for being who you are, that the universe won't support you all that much more to continue to be who it is you are. But in order to be identified, your actions in the physical universe anyway speak the loudest. So therefore, our simple suggestion is to begin to validate your heart of hearts. Begin to validate how you feel. Begin to understand that even if it is not what somebody else wishes to hear, they would not have attracted you, and you would not have attracted them, were there not the opportunity for growth on both sides by simply being your true self. And it is that simple. It can be very complicated. We will leave that up to you. But it can also be that simple. If you have a particular idea that you are excited about, and you believe in the power of that idea, you would then act like a person who believes in the power of the idea. And individuals who truly believe in the power of their ideas have no need to do anything but present them to others. There is no need to convince anyone else of your truth. You never can anyway. And the idea is, when you assume the posture of needing to convince somebody else, what the universe sees this as you not really believing it yourself. And therefore, who you are really trying to convince is yourself. But if you believe in the power of your idea, there is no convincing. There is simply the sharing, the offering of the unconditional gift of your idea without needing to take responsibility for the unwrapping and, shall we say, the subsequent use of the gift. Leave that up to those individuals. They have attracted it. They will do with it what they will. But if you will cease to reflect back to people what it is you think they wish to hear, you will see immediately the benefit and growth opportunity on both sides that does occur. Therefore, within these interactions, we never even on any level attempt or strive to convince you about what we are saying. From our perspective, what we are saying is simply a sharing. You can accept it, you can reject it. Either way, we know that it is of service to you. If you choose to reject it, we know you will find exactly what you need elsewhere. But in the rejection itself, we understand that that will enable you to, again, define yourself more discreetly, more concretely. And what this boils down to is you will expand your self-awareness whether you agree with our positions or not. Therefore, we understand that we are of ultimate service either way and do not have the need to convince you. Simply share what has worked for us, and if it works for you, use it, please. In that sense, the actual principles are free. If you do not wish to use it, again, fear not. You will attract other ideas, and having attracted this particular idea and rejecting it will be of service to you, will allow you to define yourself. Therefore, in exchange for your willingness to interact with us and co-create and share in both directions the gifts we, in a sense, have to offer, and the gifts that each and every one of you, from our perspective, are, we ask you now, how may we be of service to you? Sharing. All right, now say, before we continue, allow us again to emphasize that when we speak about expressing your true self, understand that you always know, if you are willing to level with yourself, willing to be honest with yourself, who you are, how you feel. Very often, when individuals are catering to the expectations of others, they begin to buy into invalidations from others. They begin to buy into boxed-in descriptions of who they are. Well, I must be this way I don't prefer because everyone always tells me I am. But understand again, you always know. And it will be your choice to accept their invalidations And by buying into their invalidations, you then jump on the bandwagon of invalidating yourself. But it will also be your choice, again, to accept anything that you perceive to be criticisms or descriptions of you that you do not agree with as a gift, an opportunity to establish who you are, allowing some feedback to bounce off of you, which can then strengthen your resolve about who you truly are, rather than inducing you to agree with an assessment of yourself that you do not truly hold. So again, allow your heart to speak. Listen to who it is you are. Trust in what excites you and trust in the timing of when it moves you. If you proceed and act on what truly excites you with integrity, both in every given moment from what's available and overall the most exciting thing, which would represent, perhaps you can say, one of your overall purposes, you will be expressing your true self. For the willingness to even think that that is possible, we again thank you and sharing. At this timing, allow us to once again thank you and express our unconditional love and appreciation for your willingness to interact with us. These interactions take place on many levels. They take place verbally. To some degree, they take place visually. But they also take place energetically as we experience ourselves, shall we say, a little bit more expanded than you. All aspects of our consciousness in our expansion interact with you. Therefore, there are portions of this interaction that seem most obvious. There are other communications that take place on what you, at least in the way that you cut yourselves up, on other levels. And how these will express themselves is as you are walking within the next few days within your life, these ideas or some portion of them being simply right there when you need them. If you will be willing to utilize them, you will strengthen the link between us and allow us in that sense to offer that style of assistance on an ongoing manner. If you do not, you shut the door. Therefore, it will always be up to you. We will knock, but we will never break in. Therefore, again, for your willingness to express, at least to us, your true selves, we thank you and wish you a most pleasant dreams and good evening.